What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sell Yourself or Sell Yourself Short podcast. I'm Jonathan Farrell. We have Mr. Scott Hardy with us and Miss Palmer Hardy with us today.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
Fabulous.
I had chicken soup for breakfast.
Chicken soup for
Weirdo.
breakfast?
Chicken soup for the soul.
You know, that's actually
What'd you
a
have?
good thing.
A delicious breakfast croissant.
What'd you have?
I didn't have breakfast.
That's why we did
Terrible.
it, because we've been eating after every podcast, and then just she has
I have a bagel
7-month-old. It was crazy
right now. So I fed everybody else. I got the bagel sitting
Right.
there from yesterday's office meeting. So
Typical
got the
dad.
leftover bagel. I'll take that.
Well,
So-
I thought it would be fun to kind of go back into talk more about. We got a lot of feedback on our podcast when we were saying we're not interested in your feelings. We're complete profit motive,
It's
right?
not that we don't care about
Right,
you.
right. Is that we don't have a feeling motive.
Right.
Okay, our motive isn't to generate feelings and good feelings. It doesn't say Salvation Army out in front of the, or bank or anything in front of this company except, retail establishment.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we're really, you're doing loans, we're doing real estate transactions. And so our motive is to make money. That's why we opened it up.
Yeah.
But that's not even my motive. You know what my motive was? To be free.
Yeah.
When I sat down with the people that I advised this week, it was very interesting that every single person, when I said, what do you want? Because if I'm going to coach you.
In life and in work, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to coach you, I don't want to coach you to what I want. I want to coach you to what, actually I do, because what I want is what you want.
Yeah.
And my whole satisfaction comes from you self-actualizing yourself and realizing that this is really what you're supposed, whatever it is, what you're supposed to do. And you will find that once you do what you are supposed to do, whatever that is, and you're really comfortable with it, that no one motivates you.
No.
They can
They
dismotivate
can
you.
dismotivate you. I've had a lot of that.
And I think that's kind of what people were getting from our podcast, some people, and not to offend anyone, but to offend anyone, because I like to be very disruptive. And I think harmony is the villain of growth, right? Sometimes the truth will just set you free and it hurts your feelings and you suck it up and you go, you know what, they're right. They're right. That's how I'm being. They're right? So what I found was that certain people are not right for sales.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're right for working. I wondered if I was right for working. I spent a long time moving from company to company to company and feeling terrible about myself because I, quote, couldn't stay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, like harmony, you say harmony is the villain of growth. Is that more comfortability? Or is that because we just had an office meeting where I basically just was like, I came out, James came in, first thing I walked in, I was like, woo, here we go, it was like office meeting, and everyone's like, what the heck is going on, because that's not how I open, typically I gotta come in, get my coffee and everything else too, but I was like, all right, here we go, and I'm pumped up, and then it was like, basically what I was saying was generate, I could see the looks on everybody's faces where it's like, oh, we're about to take a big step, and now we're gonna get out of our comfort zone, right, and it was because of doing that was very profit producing for us for that month.
Right.
And now we're, it's continuing, right? So would you say more it's comfortability?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's because you were all positive one day.
Yeah.
I think you are the leader, you are the culture creator.
Yeah.
I am the culture creator. When I get in arguments with people that work for me who, this, that, and the other thing, I come up, I just say, listen, I'm the one deciding. When you're in charge, you can just, I'm asking for feedback.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for what to do. I'm saying, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? And now that you gave it to me, I'm going to make a decision on my own from all that information, and we're going to do it.
Okay? It's funny too. You said one other thing, and I'm sorry to interject, but it's because
Do it.
when people, when people come up to me, because people will come up to me and then they'll say okay, this is what I'm thinking, and this is what you should do.
Right.
And it's this is not the direction.
We've talked about that advice,
Yeah.
right? When people give advice, it's what did you call it? It's a subtle
Oh, it's
command.
Okay,
It's a subtle command because you are expecting someone to take your advice. You're asking my advice. I'm giving it to you. You better take it.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's actually just supposed to be kind of internalized and just the person's supposed to decide on their own. But
I mean, imagine if I went to you and I said, I command you to keep your desk clear and only have what you're working on your desk. And I command you to not use Post-it notes. Okay, how did that sound?
Terrible.
Really weird, right?
Super ridiculous.
So, hey, I really think it would be good. It would help you a lot if you didn't use Post-it notes and you use your daytime, da-da-da-da. And I go through all of this kind of talk with you, right?
Right.
Okay, That's a command.
Right.
It's a subtle command.
It's how you.
And here's how I can prove it to you. Has anyone ever heard of a book called the Merriam-Webster's Dictionary?
Yeah.
That's where I found it. Because, I didn't get what was going on. I was like, I actually said this in frustration to my own family one time. I said I had horrible hearing aids, so everything I said was at full volume, right? And I was like, rah,
sitting there yelling.
and I'm just roaring as usual to get everyone's, it's literally, imagine if you've ever watched Wild Kingdom where well, first of all, how the hyenas will all go after the lioness, right? But ultimately they lose, right? I mean, because the other lionesses show up and just whip butt, right?
Yep.
So it's the same thing, that you're getting nagged at, you finally roar, and it's like, you guys, these suggestions are actually commands. Yeah. It's how I want the company run. It's a procedure, it's a process. Put the bead on here, it rolls to the end, it comes off. It's easy, you keep messing it up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so harmony is the villain of growth when I am not able to do that. See, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Right.
This is why I want to tie it into this feeling.
That's why it's harmony versus comfortability. It's
right.
Yeah.
This is making, okay, here's Scott Hardy when he was in his 20s. Disruptive, disobedient, and drunk a lot. Because that's how we did business back then in the 80s. We never did a deal that wasn't over about 15 martinis. It's just how it worked, right? In cable industry.
So crazy.
Okay, now I'm disruptive and disobedient. Like, I question authority. My father had a police car. We put a sticker on it in high school. It said question authority. He left it because he embraces that thought. Yeah. And he understood that that's true, that you really do need to question what's going on around here. Yeah. Okay, so I don't have a problem with people standing up to me. I really appreciate it. I want to hear your opinion, but have some background on what you're talking about.
Definitely.
So when I give harmony the chance, okay, what happens is that bad ideas get traction.
Yeah.
Because of this thing. No, you don't all have the right to give your opinion. You really don't, because we don't have enough time for that.
Right.
We'll have a 1 hour meeting. Okay, and we got 16 people in the room, okay? And you've done your research, I assigned it to you, you're making a presentation, and you have experience in it, and you three are actually popping. And then we have Johnny in the background.
Sitting there in the background.
What about the
and
rewarding?
Johnny thinks Johnny has brand new, no experience, whatever, and he's really not even doing his job. He's really not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he thinks we should do this. And when you are in some of these larger corporations where the focus is on feelings and giving everyone a clear shot and equality rules, what happens is the meeting gets off track, and then the boss hears one thing that's okay in this completely flawed idea.
Right.
And wants to explore it and doesn't want to hurt their feelings, and they say things like this: well, why don't you have a committee, and why don't you guys oversee a task force to go explore Ding Dong's ideas?
Yeah.
Now we're off track.
Right.
Because there is no leader.
True. Yeah,
that's the issue.
What about that?
Right, there's no leader.
Yeah.
That kind of reward system too. Like when you had said feeding or watering your weeds and all that.
Cutting your flowers.
And cutting your flowers. It's kind of, I think of that when, let's say there's at the end of the quarter, there's rewards or awards going to the highest salespeople, but then they end up kind of giving them to almost everybody to make everybody feel better. When you're the top salesperson and you've worked so hard,
right.
How do you feel now?
You get a 7th place trophy.
Yeah. It's like.
So at Paula Casino, years ago, I get called up in the auditorium as a manager for a big bank and awarded the highest profit per salesperson in the entire of every division of this top 50 company, 50 largest companies in the nation. Okay, so I got that, and it was a metric, a key metric. Okay, it was leasing revenue. Okay, for equipment, credit card processing equipment. It was a key metric, right? Tons. If you can do that, so that's how I did it. So then I got something for that. And then I watched them give that guy a one for something they made up, to your point. They just made up an award. And then she got an award, just made up again. See, my metric was the metric. There were no other metrics. But because all the other managers there, every manager got an award that day.
Yeah.
So what I did is I left my award on the table and I left. And my boss came running after me, physically running, and said, "You forgot your award." And I said, "No, I didn't." He says, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "That has no value."
Right.
It has no value. He says, what do you do? And he keeps trying to give it to me. I said, I'm not taking it. I said, if you give it to me, I'm going to throw it in that garbage can right there. I said, you need to learn. You can't give everyone an award and make the person who actually achieved the award feel like it's an award.
Yeah,
you made it not feel like
nothing.
an award.
And
That means nothing to me. I mean, I could put it on my resume, but whoop-de-doo.
This is what I think too, because like obviously, we get into this. We have basically accepted this as a culture where everybody deserves an award, and that's not.
Except
not right.
it seems like everyone doesn't accept it. But it's kind of like, have you ever noticed when you talk in individually to people that we all agree, and then when we get in a group, we all disagree?
Right.
Like, what is with that?
Well, so this is what I mean
Yeah, I
too,
know, I don't
because
get it.
it's
We
like,
always agree one-on-one. Everyone. I've never had a
our
disagreement.
kids-
I'm like, we agree.
Yeah, and even our kids are the ones who are getting like I always say
So
like,
they're
I got
giving
that
attendance.
winner's mentality, right? Like we have that winner's mentality, and it's like, oh, you got the participation trophy. Like, what the hell is a participation trophy?
You showed up.
Yeah, you showed
Isn't
up.
that my receipt for paying the volleyball fees?
And I remember too, like so in my elementary school days, I was not not athletic whatsoever, and getting like the participation badges, and I'm just looking at this like, okay, wait, like, even back then I was like, what purpose does this have for me whatsoever?
Yeah.
And so then I was like, no, I want that green badge, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many people that are like, I got my trophy.
But see, we don't care about those people in terms of like, we're not going to hire them, right?
No.
What were you saying?
Yeah. No. I was gonna say it was the same when I was a teacher. I mean, I had the same mindset. Like, I wasn't gonna give all my kids something, or because we could do like, I think 5 awards for very specific attributes that our school whatever focused on, right?
Right.
And so I always had at least one parent that was like, why didn't so and so get an award?
Right.
Blah blah blah. And I was like, I have 20-some kids in my class and 5 to give out. And so, it's like, do you really want to talk about their behavior? Do you really want to talk about,
Do you really
their
wanna
lack of
have the truth
engagement?
today?
Do you really want to get into this? Because I've only called you like 20 times throughout the year to talk about this, but now you want to talk at the end of the year.
Right.
But it's the same thing. Like, as a salesperson could come up to their boss and be like, well, why didn't I get one? It's like, well, let's lay it out.
Right.
Let's talk about this. Because realistically, you can't be so naive to think that when you're not getting an award that there must be something wrong with everyone else.
Right.
But then those people really don't deserve something. They're that stupid.
Well, and this is
I don't know. I mean,
right. Well, this is back to the original concept of our discussion today, which is your feelings versus your profit motive and everything. Okay, so here's where I want to direct your energy. Anyone who's listening is a leader. Okay, and if you're a subordinate, a salesperson, and you're not a manager level, okay, and you got to be a frontline producer, okay. You want to remember that if I sit down with you and I say to you, what have you learned this week? What are you noticing? Okay, because you're on the street instead of do this.
Right.
Okay, so I want to start. So when you say feelings, okay, the argument could be made, Scott, all you do is manage on feelings.
Right.
So what are you talking about? That's not true. We know that the HR department told you that they did a study on you, Scott, and they found that you needed to show more empathy. Not that you don't have it, you need to show. This is just another example of you not showing empathy, right? No, it's not conflicting at all. Because what I'm doing is I'm helping you get what you want. I have to understand what you feel about the job. It's not like I block out all feelings. I don't care that you feel, what's the word they used? Devalued.
Right.
Because I said these words. I'm a man, you're a woman, you probably wouldn't understand. I'm not criticizing you. I didn't say anything. I'm talking about me. And you're pulling out of that conversation something because why? Because you have low self-esteem. It's not my fat problem. You're totally fat and overweight and you feel like crud every day. It's not my fault that you've never exercised and that you get up at the last minute for the conference call and half of us can tell that you're having your first cup of coffee at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And that yesterday you got up at 10 because we didn't have a meeting and you didn't know and you're working from home. And over the weekend you stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning and it takes you one day for every hour you change your sleep to reorganize. So if you're off 5 hours, by Friday you'll be back. Thanks for doing that to all of us.
Right.
Right? And we have to deal with you. No, That's the part I'm not into. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't care. Here's what I want to know. What are you trying to achieve here? Where are you going with it? What is your vision? Now, I want to add this. I grew up poor. We make do. I developed a family with a mission with Palmer and Paige and my wife to get rid of the poor people thinking. Poor people think like this. I don't think about my income because I don't make any money with beans.
Right.
And I have no way to make more money. Let's use a good number. I make $70,000 a year. Let's make it even better, 90. Did you know that I was making $90,000 a year in commission only in 1994? Did you know that an enterprise account level sales job with a multinational corporation has a base salary of $90,000 today? Did prices go up since 1994? That job should pay $200,000.
Absolutely.
Okay, and they're
You
still doing
calculated
that. We're all
inflation.
getting worked. Okay, that's why I'm completely negative about corporate America. I have had them hire me, repair their division, and sell it off, and then I have to go and find another job.
Yeah.
So of course, anyone watching this, I'll answer your question. 100% resentment. Don't like them, don't respect them, don't think they're that smart. I think mediocrity is running every one of those companies, and I haven't been in one that I couldn't run circles around the CEO, okay?
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm about 4 levels behind. So you might as well just leave, Scott, because you're not getting there.
Right.
Because they make another mistake, which, I'll get back to my point in a second. They make another mistake, is that they hire you in at whatever level, and you must work your way like the military through, even though they've identified that you should be this person. Well, I'm sorry, we can't promote you to Senior Vice President of Sales, which you clearly used to be, and you should have been, because you had to pay your bills, and you couldn't get any other job because the market crashed, and you went in as a district manager. And they watched you like, who is this? This person's phenomenal. But
He's gotta work his way up.
Roger was here longer than
Yeah.
you, so Roger's getting the regional manager's job. So
Exactly.
Roger
It's about
Roger
how
takes
long
Sudafed
you're there.
at midnight and is up all night, and Roger chugs coffee until noon every day, and around 1 you could get a straight answer out of him. He's a complete basket case. He drinks too much, everything. But he's been there a long time.
But he's committed to the company.
He sure is. He's so loyal. You know why? Because it's the only place he can drink all day.
Yeah.
Right? So now that's your boss, okay? So what I'm looking for, okay, and what
Too many
we're
companies
doing
do
in
that.
this is like total sidebar on that, but it's true, right? It's just true.
Yeah.
And everyone feels that way individually, but in a group they're like, well, no, I think there's a positive culture. Okay, what's the culture here? Everyone, you've turned over your control of the company because you don't want to offend anyone, and what you've done, the entire sales force is moving you around, and this is what they're saying to you. We're customer focused. Well, I don't want you customer focused.
No, we want revenue.
I want you company focused.
Yeah. We need to
Because
make
you
money.
don't work. Remember what we said? I'll ask you guys. How long does it take for a salesperson to start selling for the customer instead of you? Remember that one?
No.
Do you know this one, James?
Yeah.
Tell
Jim-
him away.
Right away. Yeah.
Attaboy.
That's a boy.
James,
He's
I
listening.
don't remember. Did we talk about that? I don't
Wait,
even remember
wait,
talking
wait,
about
wait.
that.
Not over here, but I am.
Wait a minute. He has to edit the podcast, so he gets an extra listen. No, I'm just kidding.
He listens
No, it's 'cause
I got a
he's
couple
times.
hours on it. It's all right.
It's because he's not thinking about what he's going to say next.
True,
He's actually
true.
listening.
I'm already planning.
Okay, so this is how
I don't
that.
even
So we'll
remember
just do the
hearing
role
that.
play. I'll say I come back to you. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll do it as a mortgage broker. Hey, if we can get this guy 10 basis points off, he'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm selling for the client.
Yeah.
Instead of saying to the client,
Yeah.
here's why
Here's our rate.
the additional 10 basis points when working with us makes sense.
Right.
Here's why, because I did this over here and this over here. So your net effective rate over everything is lower
Yeah.
than this because you're getting faked out over there. They're charging you $1,500, which works out to be 50 basis points on the loan,
Yeah.
not 10. So this 10's better, and I took that out, so you're saving 40, right? Like I got to be able to explain stuff like that.
It's interesting too, because no joke, I just had that explanation with somebody,
Really?
and they still did not get it.
Was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah. But that, I feel like those are people that just, it doesn't
It
matter
doesn't
what
dawn-
you
it
say.
doesn't
They
matter
are.
what you say. They've already made
Yeah.
their decision.
They have they have contempt prior to investigation, and that's why they're always
Yeah.
right.
Well,
See, they're always right. because they never
too,
believe you.
I still believe that they're going to be coming back because that's typically what happens. Honestly, like when people leave, they come back. So.
Well, that goes back to a well-educated customer is a customer for life.
Absolutely.
Like, don't try to trick them. Tell them everything. Explain it. Teach them how the business runs if you have to, and they will stick with you. But this whole concept going back and forth about, how do I get some action? How do I get people to speak to me? Then I want you to be able to tell me exactly what you think. And if you can't say it without cussing or whatever, then we just need to go in another room. I don't really care. I want you to tell me what you think. And if you're passionate and you're almost yelling and everything, the better.
Yeah.
I have new hearing aids. Okay. I have never had good hearing aids. I didn't know that. Okay. This is as loud as I can talk without them blowing out. So I get feedback. I get feedback on my voice. When I didn't have feedback on my voice, what did everyone say to me up until a week ago?
Either stop yelling or take it down or just this.
Why are you angry?
Just this. Yeah.
Why are you angry?
Upset?
That was a common one. Why are you mad at me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not mad at you. Like, and I had no way to you guys, I had no barometer.
To be fair, for people who either know someone, have a boss or whatever, when you are talking that loud, it is a physical response in your body. You are getting louder, so your adrenaline's up, and you are going to act more aggressive.
You get all pumped up. No, I do that all the time too. I get all
the louder
up.
you get. That's
like no joke. Going into that office meeting, walking, I was like, "Woo! Here we go!"
Why do you think there's so many fights at sporting events?
Oh, because they're all
everybody's amped.
Yeah.
I like that. Got that nice.
Well, I was amped this morning about the soup. I mean, why is it you go to a restaurant and the soup comes out last? I mean, they just scoop it out. I mean, I'm watching it sit up there, it's steaming. I told her, I said, I'm not mad at you. I'm stressing. I gotta go. I gotta eat and go. So you get back to this concept of, I want to know what you feel about you and your life and where you're going with it, not what you feel about, how people are talking to you. Like, just, I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, this is it.
But
let me add this one little piece. I think the problem is that we became so focused in America in protecting the brand from a lawsuit through, sexual harassment, different types of things that were wrong in the workplace. Okay, it's a pendulum. We're all the way to the other side now. What's going on now is the equivalent of a man putting a naked woman on his locker. We don't accept that today, and that was very prevalent, and even in the 70s and 80s in some cases. I mean, most of this didn't change till the 90s. All right, so that then took on a life of its own, and so people are afraid to offend someone or anything, and that's what must be removed from the workplace. Is that we can speak freely, we all understand, we do it with respect. I'm not good at arguing with respect. I don't really get that, okay? Because if to me, I want to win.
Yeah.
I want to win the fight.
Going into win.
So I'm terrible at that.
I think Paige and I have learned that from you. In an argument, we know what's going to hurt your feelings the most. So that's what's going to come out of our mouth.
You're just going to win it.
Yeah.
That's
it's
kind of with
terrible.
everything too. It's like, all right, if I have your Achilles heel, might as well use it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we want to ask the person, we want to understand, because they can self-actualize and say, what is it that you're trying to do here? What is it that you want? Okay, well, I work for a company and I say, I want to make this much money and I want this much time off. And if you start listening to people, the most common comment can be transferred into these words. I want freedom. Freedom. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I support you? By training you vigorously. Remember, the worst thing you could do is not train your employees. What's the first thing that gets cut? Training budgets. It's the work. Train the living heck out of everyone. You should have, I've got a group that I'm working with, and they have a conference call every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And guess what they cover? Nothing. Training. First thing.
Conference calls, are they even effective in that sense, or are they just more effective in summing everything up that's been happening, or even talking about at the beginning like a focus point? It doesn't seem like it'd be something that's good to like try and train someone or even teach someone something, because how can you tell when someone's actually engaging? It seems like if there's 20 people on a conference call, it seems like you were telling me you're one of your bosses, which is, you can tell they're not even paying attention.
No, they're not paying attention, but that doesn't matter. That's a weed. So
yeah,
and then nobody does their job perfectly every day. Nobody does. Okay, so if that's why when you leave a company, you can usually not get a job back because they go through all your files and they find out the days you didn't do your job very well. And then they change their attitude about, oh, well, they weren't really as good. Because if you're a top performer, you're the target.
Yeah.
You're the mark.
Yeah.
And everyone wants you gone.
Yeah.
Except your boss, and sometimes even that. I mean, it's not what you think, right? Because you make everyone look horrible. So when I come to you as a leader, I want you to talk to me truthfully, and I want you to say, I mean, this is how I talk to my boss. I don't like to work on Mondays. I like to ease into my week. And I don't start till 10. And I do that. And I usually try to make Friday a catch-all. Wednesday I prospect all day. And Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm in the field, which means that if I don't have appointments or anything, I'm screwing around out in the world. But I'm not really. I'm out there.
Right.
Okay. I've achieved my goals every time. I have a track record of X, Y, and Z. Why would you treat me like I'm a brand new employee?
Yeah.
What I need you to do is to go get me a lead source, because today the internet is the phone book,
Yeah.
okay? And if you can commoditize and monetize your email address and your phone number and hers, okay, that means I can't get it for free.
Yeah.
So when you keep telling me, just make more calls, just work harder, I say to you, you dropped me off on the side of the road and you needed a hole and you gave me a stick. And I said, the stick's not gonna work. And you said, just try it. You came back the next day and I scraped it on, what you didn't know is I scraped it on the ground for 5 minutes and I just gave up. And I just threw it there and I waited. And I didn't do anything that whole day. When you asked me what I did, I said, well, I tried all day. I just lie to you because I'm a human being.
Right.
And I'm protecting myself. So I was trying all day. Then you come back and you're like, okay, well, I think you just need to put more pressure into it. You're like, dude, I need a hammer and a pick, okay? And I need a shovel. Yeah, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you use that stick? And if you can get a little bit farther and prove to me that you can do it, I might see value in buying you a shovel.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
I've heard that too many times before.
So guess
So
what happens?
ridiculous.
Okay, so I'll give you a simple example, a real life example in a company I'm working with right now. The product that will give them leads was 40 grand. It's down to 25 grand. Okay, you have 4 people that need to use it. Okay, it's $500 a piece basically a month. Okay, investment. They don't have a secretary, they don't have a support staff, they don't have anything. There's a VP, there's the whole 9 yards. Okay, so can you get a secretary, any assistant for the United States of America for 40 grand a year? How about 25? Okay, you can't. So everyone's saying, I need this. And what they're saying is, here, go do a free trial. Okay, do a free trial and then screenshot the leads. And then if you can close a lead off the screenshot, remember you're stealing leads from, and you're faking out your vendor. It's completely unethical. And then what you're gonna do is if you close something then we will look at possibly buying it.
Yeah.
How's
Yeah,
that different than a
nothing.
stick and a shovel
Exactly.
example?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's where the problem is. So when you say to me, I want this, I want that, I'm gonna say, what is in the way from you getting that? Why can't you get that now?
Right.
Jonathan, what is keeping you from being off on half a day on Mondays and all of Fridays and achieving all of your goals and dreams within the middle of the week? What's keeping you from that,
You know,
Jonathan?
it's actually interesting too, like that thought process, because more recently, like COVID for me was 2 things. First and foremost, my business exploded. Secondly, I realized that I did not have to be in the office every single day from this time to this time, right? So sometimes, like, I would get into the office, I'd sit here, I'd chit chat all day long, and then I'd be like,
So
all right, I went home. That
productive.
was such a big, good day of work. But then, like, COVID happens, right? We're working remote. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have to start the day until this time because I'm productive
Yeah.
at this particular moment in time. Wait a minute. I can set boundaries with specific clients where I don't have to call them at 6 a.m. when they're calling me. I can call them at this time. They're still going to answer the phone.
Yeah.
The work is still going
Setting
to
your
get done.
boundaries.
Like setting the different boundaries and everything else, right? So it's funny that you said that, because no joke, like that was like COVID was the saving grace for myself, because I was like, I'm in the 60-hour work.
Right.
you
Right,
know,
you're
work
hooked
week.
into a
I'm
thing
hooked
that's not.
into this
What,
thing.
what did we
because
say?
what did you need to be productive? It wasn't being in the office for 60
No,
hours a week.
it was-
You were equivalent.
Yeah.
You were equating activity to work.
Yes, absolutely. And being here.
So that's
Like, I
nothing
would-
to do
yeah.
with it
I would
whatsoever.
wake up every single morning and I'd be so stressed out that I'd have to get into the office. And as soon as I got into the office, I'm like, wait, why was I stressed
Yeah.
out? Like, you know, and so like that was the one thing. All of a sudden, boom, we're working from home. Boom, we're working remote. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have to be there.
It doesn't take that much
Because
time.
you're a father
It
of
is.
3. Do you really
Yeah.
want to spend 60 hours away from
Well, no,
your
and
family
that's
if you
the
don't
other thing.
have to?
Yeah, then
Like-
that's the other thing too, because like you know,
Why?
still. So even within my business too, Mondays and Fridays, I don't work at the office.
Uh-huh.
Like I've already determined that. Like I'm not working
Yeah.
at the office.
And you're
Mondays
more
and
productive
Fridays.
now.
And I'm more productive on those Mondays and Fridays than I am if I am to come in here.
Remember when? Okay, let me see if you were. I've said this a lot, and I've said it around you more. So, sales is a. Insert the final word. The two is 2 words. Sales is a
Give me one word.
mental. Sales is a
Mental game?
a mental game. It's not a physical game. We're not going to ask you to come shovel gravel.
Right.
And okay, so follow me on this. If I shovel gravel fast, what happens? I'm done sooner. What happens if I work harder in sales?
Yeah.
Mental effort defeats itself. So when you start
Yeah.
getting stressed, you're cramping down. Okay. What happens when you say to somebody, "Oh God, I can't remember that. I can't remember that." Well, I know what to do. I say, "Forget it. Let's talk about something else. It'll come to me in a second."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because,
Release.
yeah, if you stress too hard on that one thing, you're definitely not
Right?
going to
You
remember
know
it.
from
Yeah.
studying
But
psychology.
we talked about
psychology.
this, I think maybe a week or two ago about self-care, like how
Yeah.
you had to go on walks and whatever.
Yeah.
You're not going to be more productive the more you stress out about something, or the more time you
Well, that
spend
day
in a
literally,
unproductive
I
state.
I put my phone. I was like, I'm walking out of here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk around for 30 minutes. Actually, I think I drove. I told James I was gonna be back in 30 minutes. I was back in 10 because then I felt refreshed.
Everyone
So.
here has been to college, right? And we've all done
Heck no, not
we
me.
and-
I'm
well,
a school of hard knocks.
high school exams, whatever it is that everyone remembers, like one hard test that you're really studying
Mm-hmm.
for. Have you ever felt like if it's really stressing me out, if I just spend one more hour to is that effective, or is stepping away, taking a break, coming back to it?
Yeah, sometimes
effective?
it's even last night. I got home last night. Previous night before I was up until 2. Like my mind was just racing about a bunch of different stuff. I got up, was writing stuff down. I downloaded the Calm app. no plug for them. And I'm like sitting there listening to Matthew McConaughey trying to get me to go to sleep. It wasn't working. I'm like, oh man, this is so, you know what I
God, he's so boring. I don't understand
Well,
how that
that's-
didn't work.
That's why. That's
No.
why.
Oh
Tell
my
me.
That's
God,
why
I
he's
can't
on
believe that
Calm
you
app.
wouldn't have fallen
I
asleep
was
on
sitting
that.
there, I'm like, oh my god, this is not working whatsoever. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna write down everything, and so that way I could tackle it first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
Wrote it down, and then it was off my mind. And I'm like, okay, now, and then boom, knocked out.
Right.
And you just touched on literally everything, and we're not going to get into every little part, but one of the things that drives all this is what's called time motion studies.
Yeah.
So if I have to get up and walk down the hallway and go into a room to get my printer output every day, that's going to add up.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's not going there and coming back. I stop and I get out of the groove.
Yeah.
That takes 20 minutes to get back on track. And then I'm going to see Palmer in the hallway and we're going to start
Start
talking, and
Yeah.
that's going to take another 20 minutes. I mean, I'm just
Him an
finding-
hour.
So here's what happened. I only worked in an office for 2 years of my entire life. I just got very, very lucky. I mean, when I was in college, I had gotten a really good job and I was working in that, but I don't count that. I mean, once I got out. So it's very free, okay? And when I went into this 2 hour in the office, I saw everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
We had to go way down the hallway to get our printout
Yeah.
and all this. And I was trained in time motion studies, which is how long it takes to do any task. And you start peeling this off. I mean, you know, this one thing about having to pick up your pen from here, that literally could be an hour over a year. And I mean, you know, if you're getting paid hourly, that's going to make a big difference, right?
Absolutely.
If you make your income. So what happens is that you go to an office. This is literally what I found out. And I said, I'm spending half my day wandering around.
Yeah.
And they want me in early, and they want me to stay till then, and no matter what my goals are, they're giving me stink eye if I leave early, and I'm just like, okay, so finally I get out of that office, and I started working from home, and I'm working for myself. And what I found was if I worked a solid 4 hours every day, my thing was be in my desk, but in the seat by 8 a.m., okay, I found after about a week of doing this, believe me, I didn't know this was going to happen. Who knows what I was working, but I sure wasn't caring.
Right.
And I wanted to have every Friday off. This is when I developed the system. I wanted to have Friday. I was like, Monday is follow-up day. Tuesday and Thursdays, I'm out making sales calls. Wednesday, I prospect all day long. I just sit in there. And then Friday, it's a catch-all. And if I don't hit my goals, I'm going to go ahead and use Friday to catch my goals. But the goal is to have all my things done and go surf all day Friday.
Yeah.
Okay? And by the time I got to where I could do that, I didn't want to do it because I was having so much success.
Right.
I didn't want to give up my Friday. I wanted to
Yeah.
go write deals. Like, it was a weird twist.
No, honestly, that's like, especially when you're in that type of mindset, and especially when things are things are clicking and it's like I'm writing deals, like everything is going good. My wife's like, oh, you work, you're pulling out the computer. I'm like, yeah, because I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to pull up the computer right now. I'm excited to work on this thing right now because things are clicking and I'm going.
And so we talk about a mental game. So here's an easy game you can play with yourself. Everything's your mental game. Everything's in your head. Okay, it's all in your head. If you think you can, you're right.
Yeah.
If you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's all in your head, right?
True.
Your phone weighs 50 pounds because, no one wants to talk to you. You're right. No one wants to talk to you. You don't want to send an email because no one will read it. That's because no one will read it. You're right. Everything you say is right. You're 100% right.
That's why when you're at your highest and your lowest, everything you think is exactly what happens.
It's a state of delusion. It's just self-delusion for a salesperson.
So true.
Isolation is the dark room where we develop our negatives. You got to get out. You got to talk to people. You got to tell everyone the truth, and we can help you. If you don't tell us the truth, we're going to give you an answer that doesn't fit what's going on.
Exactly.
So here's what happens mentally. I have days, you just talked about this. So I have a day where I work my butt off and I close no deals and no one will see me and no one will answer anything. That's a real day. That really happens. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, every day doesn't be, it's not a party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what do I do when a day comes where basically I just don't have it going on?
Yeah.
Everyone gets blue. Everyone gets depressed. In Europe, they have blue days. They call them blue days. And they're like, well, we just get blue. And you just have to kind of wait for it to go by. Here in America, we're like, well, then you need to do some methamphetamine or something to get rid of that. For God's sakes, you can't ever be sad. You always have to be happy. So my French friend from France and her, the gal that came and stayed with us in the foreign exchange student, the one from Holland. So we had two from France, one from Holland. I asked them all, what's the number one thing you notice about Americans? Everyone, they didn't miss a beat. Americans always want to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's, again, this is part of the piece. It's just education, long-term experience.
Like
I start putting it together.
Yeah.
So here's what the game I play. Whenever I don't want to do anything for the day, and it can't be every day, but it happens. I mean, sometimes it happens once a week, okay? I'm successful, so things are working out. I mean, whatever. I haven't had any trouble with this. What I do is I say, today is the day that I would go back to that day where I had appointments, 3 appointments for that day, and I drove and everyone canceled. And I spent all day on the road and I went everywhere and I got nothing out of it. And I say, today's that day.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend that I tried my hardest today and I just got nothing out of it. Now, I'm not going to do anything in particular. I mean, I might straighten up my office. I might not. I don't feel good. I just don't feel like it. So tomorrow when I feel better, guess what's going to happen?
I'm going to crush it.
I'm going to crush it because why? Because I regenerate and I don't have
you
guilt.
didn't-
I don't
you
have
didn't
remorse.
waste
I don't care.
a day of energy with that mindset.
Yeah, just because it fell on a
Right.
Tuesday doesn't make there's something wrong with you. I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet, but we decided this is right. We decided this is left. We decided it's whatever 10:02 right now. Like we decided we're going to do all this and we're going to measure everything. And we're going to decide today's Monday and that tomorrow's Tuesday and then it's Sunday.
And
at the
then
end.
Monday through Friday.
And those are your
is work
days off.
most
We're in
days.
real estate. Guess what days we take off? Wednesdays and Thursdays. This is Thursday. We do our podcasts on Thursday. My wife is off on Thursdays. Her husband, Rick, one of your guys, was like yesterday, well, I don't know. I said,
No one's really in the office.
FYI, your
Figure it
weekend is used for business.
I always tell people, if you actually want to come and meet with me, Thursdays are the best day to meet with me.
Right?
Because nobody's calling me.
Okay, so what I did for a while, it didn't work out as well as I thought because it was too confusing. I called Fridays, Mondays. And we changed it. And we said, okay, from now on, Friday, we're getting ready for the weekend. We're going to have our sales calls. We're going to get everyone, because this is real estate. We're going to get everyone pumped up. Because real estate is stuck in so much old school 60-year-old, 70-year-old white male thinking. It's ridiculous. Okay, well, Mondays, we're having a sale. Why Monday? Dude, I got paperwork.
Let's recover from the weekend. And
What do you
there's
mean
so much
Monday?
stuff to tie
How about
up.
Friday? Get me jacked up. Get me, tell me
Yeah.
the tools. Remind me. Remind. Okay,
Yeah.
when people say I know, I say I know. I'm just reminding you. Call me the reminder. Everybody always says they know. So everyone knows everything. I just need to remind you. So I'm like,
My
remember,
4-year-old told me today.
Friday. Yeah, Friday is Monday. We're going to have our sales call on Monday. We're going to get everyone and make sure everyone's in place for Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we're going to get all of our paperwork done. Tuesday, it's going to kind of, filter down. We're going to take Wednesday and Thursday off, and then we're going to start over again. So you, as a person, have to determine what's best. Do you know how I work best? 24 hours a day. Now that sounds crazy, but here's what I do. I go to sleep when I'm tired, and I wake up when I'm awake, and I work. My mother taught me, human beings have 2 sleep cycles. So when you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep, that's because you're supposed to get up. It's called the witching hour. You're supposed to get up and you're supposed to take your pad of paper and you're supposed to sit down and you're supposed to write all those things that are flowing in your head.
It's
That's
preventing
why
you
you're
from
waking up.
calming
It's
down and
do
sleeping.
you know why I feel like I've become so wonderful, great in business? Because I do that.
Absolutely.
I use a pad of paper and a pen, and I do all my planning and writing in paper or in the computer. I do not plan it out here.
Store it in there.
I used
leave
to.
it. Yeah.
I used to at your age.
Yeah.
I did until probably 40.
Now I'm sorry, but we are gonna have to wrap up here. So.
Yeah, but you say it that way, like like, hey Scott, you need to stop talking.
No.
Hey, Scott.
You didn't even need to say that. He
No.
edits it. All you have to say is that's
Yo,
it
Scott.
for today.
Done.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you.
This is why you have me here.
Exactly. Well, guys, I really appreciate you listening to this week's episode of Selling Yourself or Selling Yourself Short. As always, thank you for coming to Two Mortgage Guys Studios. I'm Jonathan Farrell. We have Mr. Scott Hardy himself and Miss Palmer Hardy.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us.
Jonathan.
Appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.